No.
Well, we're going to work with spatial order. People, we don't have much time, yes? There are lots of theories of spatiality, see? And how we perceive things based on where we are, see? Well, we have discussed the genesis of Beowulf. What is the genesis? What is the meaning of the word genesis?
The initial.
The beginnings,
The
that's
beginning,
right.
the beginning.
Okay, good. The origins, the beginning, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and we know that the Genesis is part of the stories of different cultures. See, the Bible has a Genesis, how God created the world. That's right. Yes, but it's more mythological, perhaps. See, okay. The Greeks also have their Genesis. Yes, how the gods created the world. I work with Norse mythology at school, and we see also how the earth was born. And here we are concerned with the genesis of Beowulf and the genesis of kingdoms. Why? What is our historical time? The one we are studying.
580.
Okay, right.
What is
So
80? Before Christ.
no, AD is después. Anno Domini, año del Señor, is Latin. ¿Sí? We have BC and AD. ¿Sí?
Before?
Sí. Okay. Go. See you. See you. Bye. Okay. Anno con doble N. Domine. Domine.
Porque lo habían dominado y nunca se puede.
También he visto New NE era. Oh, sí, like the coming era. All right. Well, so we are at the moment of migration, of people trying to find land. We have all the invasions, remember? The fall of the Roman Empire, the invasions of the Anglo-Saxon Jutes, the Franks, yes? And so the big question is the territory, yes? Okay, and here was the map. The days of kingdoms. Remember the Swedes, the Geats, but obviously they don't exist nowadays. Yes? Okay? Jutes, Frisians, Hattebards. Yes? Okay, Franks. This Francia is, nowadays it's France. Yes. But obviously we don't have a map like we do today. Because these kingdoms and these nations were in the making, right? And this shows us how artificial, borders are. Because the maps are constructed. They are the result of human interaction, okay? So, and it is never stable. As it's terrible what I'm saying, but it is, there are still wars. So it's connected to how kingdoms are formed, how can they ensure survival, and communities obviously gather around a leader, but first they have to exist in space, right? Okay, because you don't have a community. I'm going to explain myself. Nowadays we have imagined communities. See, imagined communities. Do you know what they are? Have you studied them before? Imagined communities?
Yes, like when we talk about the imaginary lines that divide us to others. Like, for example, would be a lake or a mountain.
Imaginary lines divide the planet.
Yes.
See? Okay. Yes. Imagined communities are also the result of migration, Nowadays, You have imagined communities, imaginary homelands, people who left home because they are, you know, refugees or political exiles, foreigners. See, and so imagine communities are, for example, Argentinians living in the States who, you know, are the Argentinians living in the States, even if it's an imagined community. Yes, because they are not here. They are, it's a cultural thing, but without territory. Because if you're in the States, you're not in Argentina. Yes, it's an imaginary community. Yes, imagined communities. Okay. So communities, the question here is first have to exist in space. If you don't have land, yes, you don't exist. All right? As a community, as a nation, yes? Rulers in Beowulf rule over people, no countries, because these are territories in the making. So people gather around a chief, a chieftain, a leader, they conquer land, and then they put the flag, you know, or they build a hall, yes, and then they try to defend it because these territories what ensures their survival. Yes, okay. Now, to exist, a society needs to be organized at a focal point, which we call the center, like the whole, right? A focus. But if I build the center, the result is necessarily a margin. If there is a center, there is a margin, there is a border or not. Yes, okay. And there is a necessity to protect the center and defend the frontier from the others. Yes, okay. This is a little bit what happens with Grendel. Grendel intrudes upon the center. He crosses boundaries, yes, and attacks the center. He's a marginal because he lives in the margins. Okay? Now, Beowulf, for example, moves from the center of Geatland into another center, which is Heorot. But he needs to cross this liminal space, yes, between his home and the other kingdom, and he has to explain himself, right? Because he's a Geat going into Denmark, okay, into King Hrothgar's kingdom. So he's asked questions by the coast guard. Yes, he has to explain who he is, why he's there. Yes, who his parents are, that he's a noble, right? So you always have this question of the center and the margin and the frontier. The last time we talked about borders, liminal spaces, and rituals in liminal spaces. Okay? People, all this that I'm saying, not all, but most of what I'm saying is in a paper, see? Then in a paper that you have in the classroom. It's a chapter from a book, see? By Michelet, okay? Now, what is the question? Okay, we have different centers, but are they really in opposition? Yes, they are fighting. I mean, they are fighting one against the other, the two groups of people, right? But if you think, then when you read about Grendel's mother, yes, you will see that you have a hall. See? Okay, well. There is a communal space, and we know that Grendel also lives in a hall, a different hall. But it is symbolic of a community. What makes it symbolic? The behavior there, yes. What else? You mentioned some things that happen in the halls. They celebrate.
Traditions and arrangements about fight. Maybe who have to fight or in which way they will fight.
Okay.
So yeah, they sleep there.
And they tell stories. Stories are community bound, yes, because they are the stories of your people. This is like making history and remembering who came before you and telling stories about them, especially within a society in which there are no books. Yes, so you need to tell the story to keep the history alive. Yes, and to preserve this cultural element. Monsters attack monuments to obliterate the community, and obviously, if you watch Hollywood movies,
What's the meaning of obliterate?
To destroy. See, if you, I'm going to give you an extreme case, and you will agree with me. When you watch Hollywood stories of conspiracy against the United States, they always throw a bomb to the Capitol or the White House. See, always is an important monument. See, or I remember when I watched 2012.
When people claim for something, they go to the monument.
Yeah.
And they sometimes find or destroy the monument to be listened.
That's right. To be listened to. Yes, so it's not claim when they want to protest, see, or yes, against something. Yes. Okay.
What is this?
The den is la guarida. See, the monster cells are underground usually, yes, and apparently in binary opposition to hole, because the hole is up and the monster den is down. This is very much connected to the way we perceive the world. We also think always, I mean, this is the geography of our bodies, see? We think that everything that is up is good or not. Yes? Okay, high, because your head is here, God is there. Yes? And all that.
Heaven and hell.
That's right. Heaven and hell. Yes? Okay. Sacred, heavenly, and profane, bodily. And especially because all the processes connected to the lower parts of their bodies are below, no? Okay, so this is the way we say downgraded, no? Degradado, siempre es hacia abajo, ¿sí? Okay, so this question of the things that are down, yes, being not negative, but more connected to the profane or what is dark or hidden or taboo, yes, or simply profane and not elevated, not of the thought, see, but of the body. Okay, so apparently these are in binary oppositions to holes, see, because they are dark, wet, underground, see, okay. Okay, well, what happens in the holes? We have these songs. These songs tell us about origins. Yes, the origin of creation, of Grendel, of Cain, of God, the beginning of the Shiflings and the Shieldings, sorry, and the Danish kingdom, the first king that was buried, yes, and have the ship burial, other stories like the Lay of Sigmund and then the Lay of Finn, yes, stories within stories. These are all preserving the history, yes. Well, we have already talked about the importance of the oral tradition. Remember, this was not written, yes? Okay? But in Grendel's there are runes. Runes are more Viking-like. See, las runas, yes? They are symbols, right? And at the same time, these are also a marker of their culture, yes? They commemorate the giants' past. So there is a cultural element, yes, in Grendel's Hall, yes? It's not that different, yes? Because in both cases, we've got culture, we've got history, And we've got origin, or the genesis of these people that wants to be or needs to be preserved. Okay, so these people, this is an analysis, yes, that we can agree or not. This author states that Grendel's Hall is the focal point of the social system which is in competition with the Danish kingdom. It says it's not that Grendel is such a terrible monster. The problem is that he wants to usurp or contend his in opposition with the whole, right? Okay. Porque todos esos efectos. Yes, okay. And basically it leads us to conflict. Yes, conflict for territory. We have two centers, two halls, each with its own ruler, each with their own culture. Yes, okay, and each with their own realm. Yes, okay. So perhaps, I don't know, it's monstrous, but is it are they monstrous just because they are monstrous, or because they are perceived as monsters by the others, right? Yes. Okay, and this is the question of othering, you know, the other, right? Okay, and the question of territory, yes, and to how to protect your borders, how to protect your territories, right? In both cases, the halls are invaded because Beowulf goes to Grendel's hall to kill his mother. Yes? And there is, when we say Grendel's near, yes, okay, well, okay, all halls have been built. They are not natural. They offer light and protection in both cases, and they hold and shelter artifacts like the sword. Remember, we talked about how important weapons are, yes, for the Anglo-Saxons. Well, in Grendel's, you know, hall, there is a sword. Yes, it's a giant sword, and the hilts and mango, the hilts, has engravings of runes. Yes, so I don't know how basic these people are, right? And then there are sleeping bodies, you know, it's a question of being protected there. Yes, well, in this case, a dead body that is Grendel's body. So this brings us this ambiguity. Yes, leads us to these questions to say, what is a center? Where is the civilized? And what is the marginal? Yes?
I have to write about it.
Yes, I want you to think about this.
Okay.
What do you think?
What is a center? And maybe in the story, the whole or the place in which the community or the place the community can take to be represented and to be protected.
The land.
Yes. Yes.
Whose land?
Each
one.
Okay.
Yes, no, but I mean from Rotterdam as a whole territory.
Okay.
I think each community have each center.
That's right. Yes. Okay. So the centers can be different. Yes. Okay. For Grendel, his hall is his center. Yes. And the others are marginalized. Yes. We always think of Grendel as marginalized because it's the Anglo-Saxons. Yes. The Anglo-Saxon scope that is telling us. Yes, that Grendel is a marginal and he descends from Cain and that he is jealous and yes, okay. But perhaps it's just another group of people who want to impinge and seize the territory. Yes, so in order to be an opponent, you have to monsterize them. Yes, okay.
Yes.
Very difficult. Yes. I don't want to go into politics, but sometimes when you have all these conflicts over territory, we tend to demonize one of the sides. See, okay, because we need to align with one, but it's complicated. Yeah. Yes, okay. Who is the monster? What is the civilized? Okay, these were the questions. Yes,
Yes, it's like the
It's
other
relative.
strange. if you are a monster, the hero will be a strange and monster, and if you are a hero, the monster.
That's right. Yes. Okay. Well, this PowerPoint is based on a paper you have that is called the Centers of Beowulf. Yes. You have to read it all. Obviously, I explain in 2 minutes. It's not very long. Yes. You have two: the Centers of Beowulf and the Hall. Yes, which is a chapter from another book. All of them are in the classroom. Yes. But in a way, they developed this question of the geography at the time, of territory, and the notions of center and margin, yes, and otherness. Okay? Well, people, let me see. I don't want to go deep into this today, but there are lots of the question of place is a question of experience and perspective. That's why I was telling you about the center and the margin. It's always relative. It's a question of perspective.
Yes.
Why? Because we experience space through the senses. Yes? Okay? And these senses are the ones who, outline how we relate to others, see, and how we relate to places, right? And this is what I was telling you, yes? The human body upright, o sea, siempre en vertical, ¿sí? Because when you are on the ground, it's because you are either asleep or sick, yes? So you are vulnerable. The upright human body is the model because usually when you're upright, yes, what is profane is below, what is sacred is beyond and above. See? Okay? Your past is what you cannot see, so it's at your back. What past is past. You don't look at it, you have to look back. If not, yes, because it's what you have left behind. And your future is what is to come, is what you can see, right? Because this is based on how we position ourselves, yes? Okay? And the question of how and low status, yes, that's why the whole is high, because obviously we read it from an Anglo-Saxon perspective. So it's ours high and the other one is below, yes? Okay, because the prestige of the center is precisely established in this way. Yes, but I'm not going to go this. And always special terms are anthropocentric. It's I love this one. I, here, yes, there, yonder, yes, okay? We are always in the center. The center is the self.
We read a text in which asks us or present a question that who is the different? Who is the different? You, because you are not me. I am the normal, and you are the different because you are
yes, outside.
Outside.
See, an outsider,
Yes.
an outsider,
Yes.
literally. Yes. And the question is that all people, distance is distance from self. I laugh because, como dijo una mamá de un compañero de mi hijo, es que ustedes viven tan lejos. o ustedes están lejos, sí, bueno. It depends on your perspective. I laugh. Yes, far from what? And then we say far from the center. Y sí, y ahí tenemos otra vez the center. ¿Sí?
Yeah.
Y voy ¿a dónde voy? Al centro. ¿Y dónde dice la periferia? Yes, and we have all this big question in Cava y conurbano. ¿Sí? Okay, right. ¿Sí? Okay. And the question is a distinction that all people recognize is between us and them. And this is a little bit like the Anglo-Saxons or the Danes. See? Us and them, the monsters. The ones who are there. Yes, okay. And they are not fully human. And they live in that place. Yeah.
After I saw the movie, I felt terrible for Brenda. I feel sorry for him.
Yes, because we're in the 21st century and we learn that we should not do that.
No, yes, and maybe because, yes, he killed everyone, but he did it because he couldn't hear. I mean, he became crazy. It's not because he wanted to be there.
Okay.
Maybe he.
This is stable, but
Yes,
this is to earn
it's
some
because
sympathy.
Today we try to understand all people and to try to figure out the reasons
Yes.
that person.
I mean, I don't think he wanted to be cursed.
No, obviously not. And apart from that, he's
Poor soul.
no. But if you think about it, it's very functional because you need a monster, and we don't need to explain very much because what you need, you are a hero, you need a monster. So well, that's why nowadays we have this belief and this mentality. All if you then we're going to, this is for another class. Podríamos estar todo el año en esto. When you watch the fairy tales, see, or read fairy tales, always is la bruja malvada. We don't know what happens, see? But now we have a remake of all these movies, por ejemplo, Maléfica. Bueno, this is the turn of the 21st century deconstruction, yes? Okay, we're going to work with deconstruction, deconstructing stereotypes, because now we know, do not stereotype. But bueno, for the Danish, Grendel is the stereotype of the monster, super good, and I need a hero. I don't care about the monster, I need a hero, yes? Nowadays, we try to understand motivation and all the problems this person may have had in order to do what they did.
To analyze all the factors.
I don't know if it was with you or somewhere I read that when, for example, these people, the older people, when talk about the monsters, is because they wanted to kill their consciousness. For example, maybe I think it was with you. For example, the mermaids or the sea monsters, maybe they were in that spot, but they saw it as something terrible. And maybe it was terrible for them, not for everybody.
No, in
And
fact,
they made it.
monsters are part of our unconscious desires. The question is, as we cannot do or fulfill those desires, we monsterize them and we make them taboo. Eso es el abyecto, lo vamos a ver, de Cristeva. ¿Sí? Ok, bueno, no digo más. Anyway, I think that for today is enough. Yes? Okay.